Can this tiny 24 GHz sensor give a Pico-based robot reliable distance and angle data for multiple people? To get both distance and angle from a radar sensor, I assumed I'd need a rotating radar disc. I was wrong. This tiny 24 GHz KW307 module can track multiple people and report their distance and angle over UART. Today I'm connecting it to a Raspberry Pi Pico 2, based on the RP2350, porting the SDK and exploring whether it can give my BpBO droid a useful sense of where humans are. Now, I've used PIR and radar sensor modules before, but this is different. The KW307 is designed to detect both moving and stationary people without using camera vision. That makes it interesting for low power embedded systems, where I may only need presence, distance and direction, not the image recognition. The sensor itself is specified at under 4 milliamps, and the data comes through a simple UART interface. So let's look at the hardware, wire it to the Pico, port the SDK, and then see what it can actually do. So the KW307 is basically a radar device on 24 GHz, which is detecting moving and stationary humans. In the datasheet, that's up to 4 people. In the SDK, that gives me 1 stationary people and 2 moving people, with distance and angle across a 120-degree field of view. So we're going to need to connect this up to our Pico. We're going to use the software SDK to configure it and work with it and pull back those distances and angles of our human target. A quick shout out to today's sponsor, WolfSSL. Sensors are amazing. They let our project see, feel and understand the world, but they also create a huge amount of personal and behavioural data. If that data isn't protected, anyone listening on the network can learn far more than they'd expect. WolfSSL gives embedded developers proper modern security tools. WolfCrypt for fast cryptography, WolfSSL for lightweight TLS, and WolfIP for secure network stacks. It's everything you need to lock down sensor data from the moment it leaves the device. If you care about privacy and resilience in your builds, WolfSSL is the toolkit you want. Link below. Now let's get back to the sensors. So to connect this device up, well, it's a 5-volt device, so we're going to have to use the 5-volt supply off of our USB cable or look at a dedicated 5-volt supply into the device. Then it communicates actually via UART on 3.3 volts, and there is also a GPIO output, so you can actually whether it is detected or not. But I'm not going to use that because I will use the values that are coming over my UART. So really I'm just going to focus on these 4 pins, the power plus TX and RX for UART, and I'm going to connect them up to my Pico. Now I'm going to use UART 1 on this example, and of course I can put UART 1 in a number of places, and it's up to me which of those 3 locations and sets of pins I want to use on my example. As with all radar devices, you need to be careful where you're placing other metal devices near the device, particularly in front or behind it. So no PCBs or those sorts of things, either 8mm in front or 8mm behind it. Otherwise you will affect the ability of this device to actually sense anything. So Keywave were kind enough to provide me with 2 different SDKs to actually work with this. Firstly, a basic UART one, which actually just can track a single target, and that was written very much in Arduino origin code, so using Arduino sensing, and it needed a little bit of porting from me. And then they also had a full SDK, their version 2.3 SDK, which could track up to 3 targets and had a nice portability approach to working with it, so I could actually just provide in additional functions to actually make that run on the Pico itself. Now both of those SDKs are proprietary and confidential at the time of going to press. Now they are promising that they will provide a open source SDK very soon, but at the moment they're proprietary and confidential, which means I can't actually at the moment provide you with a copy of the repo and the code that I've used to actually run these codes, because the library that's included with them is confidential and I can't share it. Of course, if you're a customer of theirs and you've bought these, then you get copies of the SDK and you can work with it, which is great for personal development, for your own stuff, or if you're actually writing products. It's just a little bit of a challenge right now for open source projects, but they will fix that. So in the basic UART SDK example, actually everything is controlled by a single class. And we work with this single class, create an object of this, and we're able to then begin serial communication with the device. We can load scenes into it, which are things like office or outside, or a toilet space, the sort of environments they think this device is going to be used in. And then we get a bit of configuration options, etc. To then update and read the data back. What I've had to do with this is just do a little bit of update to the code so that it actually reads from the UART on a Pico rather than the basic serial model that an Arduino does, and that was fairly easy to port over. It actually only took me about 45 minutes or so to get working, and worked really nicely. The second SDK we've got is the full SDK version 2.3, and that's more of a C SDK, and it's split across a number of C files. And what we need to do on here is really work with the port functions that are required to actually work with this. So how is it going to open a port on our device? How are we going to send data to that port and receive data back from that port with timeouts? So that one, I actually can leave all the code as it is from our friends at Keywave, and I can just in my project as is, I think, good practice, write a port folder, and in that port folder I can actually write my own UART definitions here to say how I want to open a port, how I want to work with it using the functions from my platform. So these are using the Pico SDK functions, and that was again fairly easy to do. And on this one you also get the ability to write your own user configuration to define which port you're going to actually use, what's the name of that port, what's the baud rate, etc., and put all those in, and what are the pin numbers that I'm going to use. Quite important. So actually works really nicely, was really easy to port over to a Pico. Both SDKs allow us to actually do a lot of configuration around the whole device, how it works, its sensitivity, its range, and these are quite complicated with the number of parameters we actually can provide. So to simplify things a bit, they also have the concept of a scene, and we can load a scene, which is basically just a set of those parameters, which is limiting the sensor to a particular envelope of sensing, if you like. And the scenes that they've given us are outdoors, office, desk environment, a urinal, or a hand dryer sort of scenario. So all really useful scenes, and just control configuration so that we get the best out of the sensor for that environment. So in my testing and evaluation of the sensor and the two SDK versions, I've of course connected up to a Pico 2 and written a set of tests and experiments. And most of the time, of course, I'm just printing out the data that I'm getting back. And that gives me an understanding of, well, how does this sensor work? What are the parameters that I'm getting back? How am I able to control it? And does this make any sort of sense at all to me? And it worked really well. I actually got some really good solid readings out of the basic UART sensor. And then for the SDK version, I decided I'd up the ante a bit, and I'd try and actually place that onto a RPI 2350 touch display, so I can actually see the output in real time, graphically visualized using our friends LVGL, and of course the scatter graph, which makes it ideal for me to just visualize, well, where's the origin of this graph, where is the static target that the sensor is reporting, and where are the two moving targets that the sensor is supporting, and how I can see those. So on this touchscreen, actually, instead of just outputting and printing data as I've done in my previous examples playing with this, what I actually need to do is take the data and give it over to my widgets to actually display on a graph. And the way I've done that is basically I'm taking the stationary data and I'm giving that as radar marker 0, and that comes as a angle and a distance. And then the SDK also gives me a moving target 0 and moving target 1. And I'm taking again their angle and distance and providing those as my target 1 and target 2 for our radar to show. The radar itself is actually a chart, and it's one of these scatter charts, native in LVGL 8.4, and that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing a single dot in each of the 4 series. So I've also got a primary yellow series, which is the origin on the graph, just to make it easy for me to work out where origin is. So with just me in view, tracking works reasonably well. You can see the green dot very much every time I move, and then if I remain stationary, then you get just the red dot. So and the first few seconds of moving, you get a green dot just moved away from the red dot that was previously me stationary. Now the blue dot is just coming in kind of crazily around, and that's the second target. I think I probably need to look at how I can actually filter that out. And that becomes even more true when we start to look at this with 2 targets within range. Then we are getting both data, but that blue dot is doing kind of slightly crazy things from time to time. So trying to work out which target is which and how those data is being reported, I think would need a little bit of filtering and understanding applied over the top of the data being released from the sensor. After testing it, I found that the KW307 is very straightforward to connect, and porting the SDK to the RP2350 was absolutely manageable. The result is a compact UART sensor that can provide distance and angle data for multiple human targets. The next step is with BpBO. I want to use the closest detected target to steer the droid's head and camera and see whether we can get some behavior differences for stationary and moving people as they come past. If you want to see the integration, subscribe and catch up on all my BpBO stories so far. And if you want to support the channel, membership gives you early access to new videos. See you on the next video. Bye bye.